No other animal does this. Not really. Not like us. A baby elephant doesn't sob. A grieving wolf doesn't tear up. A heartbroken chimpanzee doesn't sit alone and quietly leak salt water from its face. Only you do. Only humans. And nobody fully knows why. Think about how bizarre this actually is. You stub your toe and your eyes get wet. You miss someone and your eyes get wet. You watch a stranger reunite with their dog in an airport and your eyes get wet. Same fluid. Completely different reasons. For most of human history, this strange leaking face was just a fact of life, never a question. But it should be a question. Because emotional tears might be one of the strangest, most uniquely human things your body has ever invented. Here's the better question we should actually be asking. Not why do we cry? Every animal with eyes produces tears to keep them wet. The real mystery is why our tears come with feelings attached. Why a single hominin somewhere, long before history, started weeping not from pain in the eye, but from pain in the heart. To understand this, you have to start with the body itself. Humans actually produce 3 different kinds of tears, and biologists treat them like separate inventions. The first is the basal tear, the thin film that constantly coats your eyeball just so you can blink without scraping yourself. The second is the reflex tear, the angry flood that shows up when you chop an onion or get smoke in your eye. And then there is the third kind, the one no other animal seems to make. Emotional tears. The strange ones. Researchers studying tear chemistry, most famously the biochemist William Frey in the 1980s, found something genuinely odd. Emotional tears appear to have a slightly different chemical makeup than the tears you cry from chopping vegetables. They carry more protein and traces of stress-related hormones. In other words, when you cry from sadness, your body is literally flushing chemicals out through your face. Your tears are not just water. They are a small, salty emotional report. And that's where the evolutionary mystery begins. Imagine you are an early human, 200,000 years ago, sitting around a small fire in a small group. Your sister has just died. You feel something so heavy, your chest aches with it. And without deciding to, your face does something strange. Your eyes blur. Salt water runs down your cheeks. The others around the fire see it. They don't need words. They don't even have the words yet. They just see your wet face, and they understand. That moment, right there, may be the entire reason emotional crying exists. Because crying is not really about you. It's about the people watching you cry. This is one of the leading scientific arguments today, sometimes called the social signaling theory of tears, championed by researchers like Ad van Nierhowitz in the Netherlands, who has spent decades studying why humans weep. His argument is deceptively simple. Tears are a signal. A visible, undeniable, hard-to-fake flag that says, I am not okay and I need you. Think about how powerful that actually is. A scream can be aggressive. A frown can be misread. But tears on a human face cut straight through every culture on Earth. A crying stranger in Tokyo and a crying stranger in Nairobi mean exactly the same thing to anyone who sees them. Tears are a universal language with no accent. And for a species like ours that survived only by sticking together in tight little groups, that signal was priceless. Here's the important part. Humans are absurdly dependent on other humans. We are born helpless, we stay helpless for years, and even as adults, going it alone in the prehistoric world was basically a death sentence. So evolution didn't just shape our muscles and brains. It shaped the ways we ask each other for help. And tears might be the most elegant ask ever invented. They are quiet. They are immediate. They don't require language. And they tend to short-circuit aggression in whoever sees them. Try staying angry at someone who is genuinely crying. It's almost physically difficult. Something inside you softens, leans in, wants to help. That softening is not random. That softening is the whole point. Now here's where it gets stranger. Human babies are basically tear factories. A newborn human cries more and more loudly than the infant of any other great ape. Chimp babies whimper. Gorilla babies fuss. Human babies wail like tiny sirens with lungs. And those cries arrive in a body that cannot walk, cannot eat solid food, cannot even hold its own head up. Picture that for a moment. Of all the species on this planet, the smartest one produces the most useless, loudest, leakiest babies. That is not a bug. That is the design. Because a silent baby in the ancient world was a forgotten baby. A baby who cried was a baby whose mother turned around. Tears, even before we understood them, were keeping our species alive. But adults cry too, and that's the part that still puzzles scientists. Pause for a second. I want to ask you something, and I genuinely want to know your answer in the comments. When was the last time you cried? And was it sadness, anger, exhaustion, or something good like relief or joy? Drop it below in one line. I read these, and the patterns across thousands of viewers are honestly fascinating. Okay, back to the mystery. Because adults crying is where the story gets philosophical. You'd think evolution would have switched the wailing off once we grew up and could speak in full sentences. But it didn't. A grown adult, fully capable of saying "I am sad," will still in the worst moments fall back on the older language. The wet face. The trembling breath. The silent ask. Some researchers argue this is because words are not always enough. You can lie with words. You can perform with words. But it is extremely hard to fake a genuine full-bodied cry. Tears are what scientists call an honest signal. A signal so costly and involuntary that, when it appears, it is almost certainly real. And in a social species, an honest signal of pain is worth more than 1,000 polished sentences. There's another theory layered on top of this one. That crying isn't only social, it's also chemical self-soothing. When you cry hard, your breathing slows, your heart rate eventually drops, and a kind of exhausted calm settles in afterwards. You know that feeling. The strange, washed-out peace that comes after a really big cry. Some researchers suspect that's the body literally regulating itself, dumping stress and resetting the nervous system. If true, then crying is doing two jobs at once. It's calling for help on the outside and cleaning house on the inside. A built-in distress beacon with a built-in reset button. Pretty good design for an accident. Now here's the strangest twist of all. We don't only cry from sadness. We cry at weddings. We cry when soldiers come home. We cry when a stranger does something unexpectedly kind on the subway. We cry at the end of a film we've seen 4 times already. This is called crying from being moved, and it might be the most uniquely human emotion of all. Because it suggests our tears are not just about pain. They are about meaning. Something inside us recognizes a moment as significant, and the body marks it. Like a small salty bookmark on the page of a memory. No other species, as far as we can tell, has anything like this. A wolf does not weep at a beautiful sunset. A chimpanzee does not get misty-eyed at a reunion. Only the strange, soft, overthinking ape does that. Only us. And that says something quietly enormous about what kind of creatures we became. Somewhere on the long road from ancient savanna to apartment buildings, our species started feeling things so deeply that our eyes couldn't contain it. That is not weakness. That is, in a very literal evolutionary sense, a feature. The same biology that made us cooperate, share food, raise helpless babies, and bury our dead also gave us this. The capacity to be moved until our face is wet. So the next time your eyes sting and you're not sure why, remember this. You are not malfunctioning. You are running a piece of social software that helped a small, fragile, naked ape survive long enough to invent everything around you. Tonight, somewhere in the world, a baby will cry and a parent will run. Somewhere, 2 friends will hug and one of them quietly tear up. Somewhere, a person sitting alone will finally let it out after a long, hard day. And in every one of those moments, hundreds of thousands of years of evolution will be doing exactly what it was designed to do. If this made you see your own face a little differently, hit that like button and subscribe to Hominin so we can keep digging into the weirdest, most human parts of being human. And tell me down in the comments, do you cry easily, almost never, or somewhere in between? I'm genuinely curious how this splits. Next time, we'll look at another quietly bizarre human habit, why we laugh, and why nobody else on Earth quite does it like we do. Until then, Take care of the soft, leaky, beautifully strange creature behind your eyes. It has been crying its way through history for a very, very long time.